Welcome back to Good Morning LaLa on Friday Feels. We're going to talk about how to attract your man with Molly Lyda. How are you? You're a life coach. You are MFT, LPCC. What is that? I don't know all those.
MFT is marriage family therapist.
Got it,
and LPCC is licensed professional clinical counselor.
All right. Fancy.
We want to give a special thanks to the Bra Network and Carrie Murray
Yes,
for
yes.
connecting us. But you've been a friend of the Focus family for a long time. As an expert of dating and helping women be their best selves to attract the relationships they want, what advice can you share with us?
Oh my gosh.
Where to start?
How much time do I have? So I think that some of the things that are most important for women as they're calling in relationships is first to make themselves happy. They really have to, it's about happiness first on the inside, right? And as they're doing that, doesn't mean their life has to be perfect, but it means, are you finding happiness and joy on a regular basis? Are you finding a way to maybe get rid of some of those toxic relationships? Are you figuring out those triggers, going back to that, right? So you can actually have some peace and find more bliss in your life. When we're in that space, we're more open, we're more willing and ready to bring someone in our life, as opposed to being lonely, being needy, some of those things.
So we talk a lot about energy on this show, and I know you've kind of mastered defining masculine and feminine energy. Could you describe that to us?
Yeah. So masculine energy, and part of why this is so important in my work is, first of all, as humans, we each have a balance of masculine and feminine energy, so important. And what I've been noticing and what's been happening for a while for us as women, we're so independent, we're super successful, and we are our own protectors, we're our own providers. And in doing so, we run a lot of masculine energy to live that life. And it's great and it's amazing, and there are amazing opportunities. And it can be depleting and it can be exhausting. So masculine energy is more linear, it's a little more direct. There's more of this containing, and Rob, you can maybe speak to some of that.
You're doing a great job right now. You're doing a great job.
And so with that kind of driving, leading energy, that's where we get our, the drive with career. That's how we have that success and, kind of climbing up the ladder, whatever it might be. The feminine energy on the other side is there's a lightness, there's a flow, it's very circular. One example of that is, and I love this happens in the workplace, it also happens just when women are together. You might you're going to plan something, or you have an item, like some agenda you're going to go over, and so there's 1 through 10. But for women, especially if there's 5 of us in the room and we're starting to figure this out, we'll start with 1, but then somehow that'll lead to 5, and then we'll go up to number 2, and then we'll be back to 9 and 10, and it'll all get covered, but that's part of that flow. That's kind of that multitasking.
So let's talk about this. You have an actual, kind of course, I'd say, attract your man. So if I'm somebody and I'm like, okay, I want a man, it's my kind of pet peeve, because I'm like, I just feel like so many people watched You Complete Me by Jerry Maguire, So how do you go, I'm going to help you attract your man, when it's like, how do you do that?
Yeah, it's such a good question. I have a workshop coming up next Wednesday, April 24th. I just find it so great and so ironic that you're mentioning the Jerry Maguire line, because I was thinking about that as I was anticipating being on this show, and that line, you complete me, that makes the whole.
That screwed us all up. We've been in therapy ever since.
What is it, over 20 years now?
Really?
Yeah,
it was a great flick, though.
Yeah, it was a great story. So we don't want to do that. We want to be whole as we can on our own. And we're all works in progress, right? We're all growing and changing and having that kind of growing edge as far as discovering more about ourselves, healing parts of ourselves. So as far as attracting someone, it starts with that inner happiness and finding some of that contentment, but not being perfect, right? There's also just that ease in our feminine body. So going back to that feminine energy, right? Finding a way to relax and to receive. That's another thing. As women, and how in the work world and everything that we've been pursuing, we're so used to doing everything for ourselves. And then when maybe you're in a dating situation or in an opportunity to meet someone, you do everything for yourself, and the guy wants to show up for you in other ways, and yet there's not room for them.
So that's what you do. So on the workshop, what will you take them through those processes?
Yeah, so we're also going to be looking at visioning. That's another thing that I've noticed with a lot of my clients. I know of one person who had been in a long-term relationship, needed some time to kind of unwind from that, was out dating, having a great time, being very casual, hoping that, yeah, maybe there'll be a long-term relationship, maybe I'll get married, but it didn't happen because her vision wasn't really clear. She was out having fun, and there was just more of the fun, which is great. So one of the things I'll be doing in the workshop is helping them create a vision that can help pull them to the things that they really want.
That's super scary for me, because the first thing I think of is, what if I get the vision wrong and I attract something that's not right for me? And this is translated across my life. That's why I learned my vision board.
Oh.
Because I want something that I believe the universe or God, whatever it is that you will, spirit, knows better than I do.
Okay,
So
yeah.
that holds me back, I think, from a lot of things, because I'm not able to define what that
Yeah.
is, whether that's a man or in other areas
Yeah,
of my
yeah,
life.
yeah.
So how do you do that?
It's a really good point. I think that when vision, you kind of have to hold it with the open hand, right? As opposed to the gripping. So he has to be this height and this color hair and these color eyes and all of that. That's different than the feeling. It's really about the feeling that we want to experience when we're with somebody, right? So it's the feeling of what we do on the weekends together. It's the feeling of when I've had a rough day, how do I want that person to show up in my life? And so much of it, Jeslyn, I think is really about your heart, and it's really about getting quiet and getting clear about what you want, what feels good already and what you want more of. And then you can ask for spirit to come in and support you in that, knowing that the joy of life is also these, we don't know what's going to happen. So it's that unfolding and the fun and the miracles. Like, this is a super fun thing for you, I think, that you're doing.
Oh, I love this.
Yes,
This is what I
yes.
was born to do.
Yeah. And I remember you talking at the networking event about how you felt like you were being called or something was coming, and you just stayed in that open energy.
And I just wanted to be ready for it so I could show up. And I feel like the same way kind of in relationships, just be ready. Show up as my best self, but I don't want to define who that other person is.
I think it's precisely what she's saying, right? I think
Yeah.
so. And I love this, and I love your response to Jeslyn's question. And I love your approach, Jeslyn. That's been my life as well. I think the glitch for me was always that I didn't believe that the universe or life or God, that its will for me was perfect happiness. And that's the glitchiness. You've got to really make sure that you're clear about that, because otherwise you might be setting yourself up for like increasingly negative or uncomfortable or painful experiences.
Yes, and so that leads me also to the self-awareness piece. And as we're discovering, as we're calling in what we want, it's also recognizing where those blocks are. And that's where work with a therapist, work with a coach, being a part of a group, 12-step, whatever those things are going to be, is going to help us recognize those blocks that are preventing us from having more of the life that we want and more of the life that I believe every single person
Oh, that's
deserves.
beautiful. And so you'll be doing that through the workshop.
Yes.
Oh, that's huge.
I'll tell people where they can find the workshop.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So it's tinyurl.com/ml-attract your man.
We'll be sure to put
Nice.
that on the board.
Yes.
Well, thank you. We're so grateful for you and for sharing all this
you.
insight
Yeah.
with us.
Thank you for
We'll be back
having
with
me.
more
Thank you so
Going
much.
All In.